Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today the topic of my video is oxidizing agent and reducing agent. In this video you will learn definition and how to identify oxidizing agent and reducing agent in the given equation. First I will tell you the definition. Oxidizing agent is also called as oxidant. It causes oxidation in another substance. Reducing agent is also called as reductant. It causes the reduction in another substance. Remember that oxidizing agent does not undergo oxidation itself in a reaction. Instead, it oxidizes another substance. Similarly, reducing agent or reductant does not undergo reduction in a reaction. Instead, it reduces another substance. Now, come to the second part of the video, how to identify oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Here I will give you important points that will help you to identify oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Point number 1. Reactant that itself got oxidized in a chemical reaction is a reducing agent. Point number 2. Reactant that itself got reduced in a chemical reaction is an oxidizing agent. This means that it happens opposite. If a reactant is oxidized in a reaction, it is reducing agent. If a reactant is reduced in a chemical reaction, it is a oxidizing agent. If you are asked to identify reducing agent or reductant in a reaction, identify the reactant that is oxidized in the reaction and label it as reducing agent. If you are asked to identify oxidizing agent or oxidant in a reaction, identify the reactant that is reduced in the reaction and label it as oxidizing agent or oxidant. Now I will discuss some example to clear your concept. Before going to example, I will quickly remind you the definition of oxidation and reduction. In terms of transfer of oxygen atom, oxidation is gain of oxygen, reduction is loss of oxygen. In terms of transfer of hydrogen atom, oxidation is loss of hydrogen and reduction is gain of hydrogen. In terms of oxidation number, oxidation is increase in oxidation number and reduction is decrease in oxidation number. This is the example of redox reaction. In this reaction, copper oxide reacts with hydrogen to give copper and water. In this reaction, you can see that there is a transfer of oxygen atom from copper oxide to hydrogen. So we will identify the reactant that is oxidized and the reactant that is reduced according to the first definition. Hydrogen is converted to water in this reaction, and during this conversion, hydrogen gains oxygen atom, and gain of oxygen is oxidation. So we can say that hydrogen is oxidized in this reaction and we will label this reactant as reducing agent. Copper oxide in this reaction is converted to copper. During this conversion, copper oxide loses oxygen atom and loss of oxygen is reduction. So we can say that copper oxide is reduced in this reaction and we will label this reactant as oxidizing agent. Here I will give you an important tip. If you identify one reactant as an oxidizing agent, other reactant will definitely be a reducing agent and vice versa. You can label the other reactant without any thinking or working. This is another example of redox reaction. Hydrazine N2H4 reacts with oxygen to give nitrogen and water molecule. In this reaction, transfer of hydrogen atom is involved from hydrazine to oxygen. So we will identify the reactant that is oxidized and that is reduced according to the second definition. Hydrazine is converted to nitrogen, and during this conversion, hydrazine molecule loses hydrogen atom and loss of hydrogen is oxidation. So hydrazine is oxidized in this reaction and we will label this reactant as reducing agent. Oxygen is converted to water molecule in this reaction, and during this conversion oxygen gains hydrogen atom, and gain of hydrogen is reduction. Oxygen is reduced in this reaction, and we will label this reactant as oxidizing agent. This is another example of redox reaction. Sodium reacts with chlorine to give sodium chloride. In this reaction there is no hydrogen or oxygen atom are involved, so we will identify the reactant that is oxidized and the reactant that is reduced in according to the third definition. First, we will write the oxidation number of each element on the product side and on the reactant side. Sodium is a free element, its oxidation number is 0. Oxidation number of chlorine is also 0. In the product there are two elements, sodium and chlorine. Sodium belongs to the group 1A or 1, which is also called as alkali metal, and all the member of this group has oxidation state of +1. Second element, chlorine, belongs to the group 7A or 17, which is also called as halogen, and all the member of this group has oxidation state of -1. In this reaction sodium when converted to product, its oxidation number changes from 0 to +1. This means that oxidation number of sodium is increased, and increase in oxidation number is oxidation. Sodium is oxidized in this reaction, and we will label this reactant as reducing agent. You can label other reactant chlorine as oxidizing agent, but here I will explain for you. Chlorine when converted to product, its oxidation number changes from 0 to -1. This means that oxidation number of chlorine is decreased, and decrease in oxidation number is called as reduction. So chlorine is reduced in this reaction, and we will call it as oxidizing agent. I hope you have understand this video. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.